Hello, I am back. So, the draft concluded yesterday, and I am going to go over who went where. I'm going to turn this into a several part video. So, yeah. We'll start with the NFC North. We're going to go with the Chicago Bears. They, of course, with the first round, traded up to pick 11 and took Justin Fields. I've said it before. I'm going to continue to say this. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. I like the value there, and I think they just got their franchise guy hands down, and Andy Dalton will not be starting. In the second round, they traded up with Carolina to get the 7th pick, and they took Tevin Jenkins, tackle from Oklahoma State. Really good pick. Very big move for them. Really like it. Kid is one of the meanest tackles in the entire draft. Their next pick wasn't until the 5th round. They traded again with Carolina, and they were able to get Larry Borum, guard from Missouri. Pretty competitive guard from the tape I did get to see. I didn't watch a lot of Missouri tape, but I really like that they went, again, interior and picked up a big lineman. Next was their 6th round pick. It was a compensatory pick from Seattle that they traded for, and they got Khalil Herbert, running back from Virginia Tech. I actually really like Khalil Herbert and thought that he was underrated. They gave him the ball a lot, and he could be a really good just depth player for you, and eventually could actually start if they really needed him to. Their next pick was a compensatory pick, and that was, of course, in the 6th round, and that was pick number 37. They took Daz Newsome, wide receiver from North Carolina. I love Daz Newsome's tape. Kid's got some good hands, really good speed. Great pickup for Chicago. The next pick was also a compensatory pick in round 6, pick number 44. And they were able to pick up Thomas Graham Jr., corner out of Oregon. Thomas Graham is a pretty competitive guy. I don't know if he's going to be an immediate starter for you, but I think eventually he can definitely break the depth chart. And in the 7th round, pick number 23, which is a trade with Seattle, they were able to get Kairos Tonga, defensive tackle, Brigham Young. I really like Tonga. He's a big people mover. He also does have some slipperiness and can break off and really clobber people in the backfield. Now we're going to go to their free agent signings. So, of course, at the end of the draft, there's always the quick run at free agents. They picked up Charles Snowden, edge/linebacker out of Virginia. He is really rail thin, so that's probably my guess as to why he went undrafted. I didn't mind his tape, but yeah, he had some real problems when it came to just being small. If he can bulk up, I think he could be a guy that, again, you go to if there's injuries or if you need to, find another guy. He's definitely good for depth. Next, they took Thomas Schaefer, Stanford defensive lineman. Didn't get to see a lot of Stanford tape because they only played 4 games. But I need to look in on him a little more. I think he might be an edge. Next is Sam Kamara, defensive tackle from Stony Brook. Again, didn't see any Stony Brook tape. Stony Brook, when it gets to smaller schools like that, which you're going to hear that for the same thing for the next guy, it's really hard to watch tape on them because they don't release tape. And that's Caleb Johnson. He's also from Houston Baptist. So those 2 players I'm going to have to keep an eye out for when it comes to spring practices, fall camp, and, of course, the preseason. They got a tackle in Gunnar Vogel from Northwestern. Based on the tape I did see of Gunnar Vogel, he's pretty good. I might actually kick him inside to guard if I were Chicago. Not that I don't think he can hold his own. I think it's just that would be a position where he could at least battle to start. They also took Gage, I'm going to murder this guy's last name, Cervenica? I think it's Cervenica. He's a Clemson guard, I believe is the position he played. Again, not super familiar with him, although the name rings a bell. I don't know why. Next is R.J. Marble from Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina had a really good year this year, and they actually showed that they've got some athletes on their team, one of them being C.J. Marble. I'm a pretty big fan of him ending up again with someone like Chicago where he can be a depth guy, might even be able to do some kick return. Next is going to be goes in alphabetical order on this site that I'm using. I'm using the NFL and CBS. As much as I don't like CBS because they're not real reliable, they do a good job when it comes to reporting the picks that have been or the people who've been picked up as undrafted agents. There we go. Make sure it actually loaded. So, of course, the first 2 picks for Detroit were in the first round, 7th overall, Penei Sewell. I love that pick. The next one was in round 2, pick number 41. That's Levi Anuzuriki, defensive tackle from Washington. And then I already said in a different video what I thought about round 3, which was the 72nd pick, 8th in the round, and that was Mcneil. I'm a big fan of all 3 of those picks. You got some really good players in the interior for defense, especially Mcneil, who can peel off people and really get in the backfield. Penei Sewell is a big people mover. I love him. With the 101st pick in the 3rd round, they took Ifeatu Melifonwu. They traded with the Rams, I believe. Yeah, it was a compensatory pick. He's a really tall corner. I'm a big fan of that pick as well because I like tall, long corners who can go get the ball, something that he does. And, of course, if he doesn't for some reason work out at corner, you can always kick him to safety. The next pick, which is in the 4th round, pick 112, the 7th pick in that round, was Amon-Ra St. Brown. I did not expect him to fall this far, and I'm stunned that they were able to get him. Amon-Ra St. Brown is incredibly athletic. He goes after the ball, and he is an amazing receiver. Great pick. The next pick was in the 4th round. The next pick, actually, it was pick 8. They traded with Cleveland, and they took Derrick Barnes, linebacker from Purdue. Now, I don't see him as really being a linebacker, per se. I see him more being almost like an edge. He's got a nose for the ball, and he really likes to smash into people. And so I really want him to be more of a run-based linebacker, which I believe is what they're going to use him as. The 7th round was the next pick, which was 257th overall. They took Jamar Jefferson, running back out of Oregon State. Didn't get to see a lot of Oregon State tape this year. I'm not too familiar with Jefferson, but Oregon State has a tendency to kick out some decent running backs. My only problem with this pick is that means you now quite possibly have like 15 running backs. So somebody's going to get cut, and it's probably going to be him. They're undrafted free agents. They got A.J. Parker from Kansas State, Jonathan Adams Jr. from Arkansas State, DB D'Angelo Amos. He'll probably be safety, if I had to guess. Wide receiver Sage Surratt, who I really like. He's got good hands, good ball skills, and he has the ability to get some separation, although he does struggle against certain corners. They got Drake Johnson from Kentucky, a center. Tavanet Beckett, linebacker from Marshall. Not real familiar with him. A.J. Parker from Kansas State. Dedrick Mills, running back from Nebraska. Drake Johnson, center from Kentucky. Rakeem Boyd, who I actually think is underrated. He's a real shifty player out of Arkansas. He's actually also a decent receiving back. They got Jerry Jacobs out of Arkansas, a corner, and my personal favorite, Brock Wright, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Or tight end, sorry, he's tight end out of Notre Dame. My understanding is they also signed... shoot, my phone's not right here. Oh, there it is. Did I bring my phone in here? I did. Hang on. Where's my mom? There's my mom. I texted her that this morning. Javon McKinley. Which is, of course, also a receiver from Notre Dame. He's long, he's fast, and I really think that he could be a good weapon, if nothing else, in the preseason for Detroit, and eventually probably try to crack the roster. All right, come on. Now we're going to go to, it'll open up, Green Bay Packers. Oh, nope, it jumped. Hang on. Nope, scroll up one. Thank you. Green Bay, their first 3 picks, rounds 1, 2, and 3, were Eric Stokes, Josh Myers. Stokes, of course, is the corner. Myers is the center. And Amari Rogers, wide receiver from Clemson. Of those picks, the one I like the most is Josh Myers. Got to replace your center that you lost in Corey Linsley, as well as being a real big physical guy that can dominate in the middle. In their fourth round pick, their 37th in the round, it was a compensatory. They took a guard, Royce Newman, out of Mississippi. Mississippi has a tendency to kick out some really good guards and decent tackles as well. With the fifth round pick, pick number 29 in that round, they took Daryl Slayton. Now, Daryl Slayton is a bit of a strange pick. Why do I say that? If he can slim down a little bit and prove that he can be on the field more than one play at a time, I think he could be a real big weapon for you. But he's got to prove that he can do that. The next pick in the fifth round, which was 34th, pick 178, if you're looking for the exact number, was Jean Charles, a corner out of Appalachian State. Didn't get to see a lot of Appalachian State tape this year either. But based on the information I've read, he is a really good slot corner. So you've picked up another depth guy who could get kicked outside, but you probably want to keep him in the slot. Round 6, pick 30, 214th overall, they took Cole Van Lanen, guard out of Wisconsin. Listen, if you're looking for real dominant big linemen, always go to Wisconsin and Iowa. Those are the top two schools for that. Notre Dame does a good job of it too. Round 6, pick 36, 220th overall. They took Isaiah McDuffie, linebacker out of Boston College. It was a compensatory pick. And then round 7, pick 29, they took Kylan Hill, who I think is probably one of the more underrated backs and could have a chance of cracking the lineup as well. Undrafted, they took Carlo Kemp, defensive lineman. He's going to play probably end from Michigan. Jack Heflin from Iowa. He's a defensive tackle. Christian Uphoff from Illinois State. Bailey Gaithers from San Jose State. And John Davidson, offensive lineman from Wisconsin. Again, like I said, if you're going to get big linemen that you know can play, one of those schools to go to is the Wisconsin. Sorry. And the Packers know to do that. They know to look at Wisconsin, Iowa. It's lagging behind a little. I'm trying to scroll through. And so it locks up and you go 1, 2, 3 and it goes to like 6 picks of where you were. Come on. Keep scrolling. Okay. Now we're with the Minnesota Vikings. Their first 3 picks were Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle. They traded with the Jets to get that pick. I'm a huge fan of Christian Darrisaw. He is a really good tackle. Really solid pick. In round 3, they took Kellen Mond, quarterback from Texas A&M. I think he actually could be your starter eventually this year. And then Chaz Surratt, who is a surprisingly athletic linebacker. The next picks, both of them were in the 3rd round, are Wyatt Davis, my number 1 guard, or probably about my number 3 guard, coming out of college. He probably would have been number 2, but due to Elijah Vera Tucker would have been 1, and then I probably would have argued that technically, I probably would have left him at 3. Due to the injury that he had, he slipped down some people's boards. Then they took Patrick Jones, edge out of Pittsburgh. I'm going to screw up that kid's name. 4th round, they took Keeney Wanagu, running back out of Iowa State. In round 4, pick 20, they took Cameron Bynum, California corner. He's a pretty solid corner. I'd like to see a little more out of him. He has a tendency to get burned from time to time. But he does have good, I'm going to say that it's a catch-up speed. He's good at being able to recover when he gets beat. So, round 4, pick 29, 134th overall, they took Janarius Robinson, edge out of Florida State. I'm kind of surprised they decided to go this way, although kid has really good upside. Round 5, pick 13, Amir Smith-Marseille, wide receiver out of Iowa. Amir Smith-Marseille has pretty good speed, really good hands. He has a tendency to get open quickly. Round 5, pick 24, they took Zach Davidson, tight end out of Central Missouri. I obviously haven't seen much tape on him, but my understanding is he's a really good downfield threat. Round 6, pick 15, they took Jalen Twyman, defensive tackle, Pittsburgh. My big thing for Jalen Twyman is he's very good at getting off blocks, and he's got quick movement to get into the backfield. Now we go to, of course, their free agent signings, in which they took Blake Prohl, wide receiver, Eastern Carolina. I'm actually surprised he went undrafted. I figured he would be a late 6th, but a surprisingly good pick. Next, they took Whop Philyor out of Indiana. I really like Whop Philyor. He is surprisingly fast, has really good hands, and can really use those shifty moves to get people off of him. Then they took a kicker, Riley Patterson out of Memphis. They took linebacker Tuff Borland out of Ohio State. Really like that pick. They took defensive end / linebacker Christian Ellis out of Idaho. Myron Mitchell, wide receiver out of UAB. And Turner Bernard, long snapper out of San Diego State. You're not going to hear me talk much about a long snapper regardless of what school he went to, because you're a long snapper. And that does it for this. I will be back hopefully Wednesday is what I'm aiming for. And I'll be able to go through, then I'll do the NFC East. I'll probably do NFC East, NFC West, and then Thursday I'll try to do NFC West, AFC West, and we'll work our way back. See you Wednesday.